Sort of staying with Saudi, and a big story that won't go away is Karim Benzema. We know Arsenal are linked. We know Chelsea are linked. He's joined the pre-season sort of training, we're led to believe. But the reports all came out yesterday, Ben, that Benzema wants to leave at the very least on a short-term option. He's having those conversations. What's your understanding of the current situation? And have any moves been made? Have any offers been made in either direction between the likes of Chelsea, Arsenal, and Benzema, as far as you are aware?
No, not yet, and not directly to Al Ittihad. It will all be like Henderson. It will be on the player side. I think if something was lined up, then it would be likely that Benzema, much like Henderson did, would go to the club with something concrete and then see if anything was possible. So there's a meeting due today with Ramon Planes, who's the new sporting director at Al Ittihad. And that is, as I understand it, a second meeting. In the first meeting, it was indicated by Benzema that he'd be prepared to explore a loan. And that could even be within Saudi Arabia. But obviously, Benzema's preference would be to leave and then come back during the summer. The Benzema camp deny that any exit is on the cards or that he's asked to leave via a transfer request. And that may be true in a formal sense, but it has been communicated by Benzema that if the right opportunity comes, he would like to explore it. So it's a little bit softer than saying he wants out. And I think part of that is just that it is short-termist because he's thinking about between now and the summer. And then come summer, he may have the opportunity to help with recruitment and work with Plan S, and Al Ittihad might be in a different position. But at the moment, they're pretty close to mid-table. They're not going to defend their title, and they might not even get AFC Champions League for next season. So you can understand why Benzema, probably a bit like Henderson, feels like there's not too much to play for in the second half of the season now that the Club World Cup has passed. And that's why he's perhaps looking at other options. So it's a difficult situation. It's a tense situation. But to get out of Al Ittihad, Benzema needs a green light from Planos and Gallardo, his sporting director and his manager, from PIF, who control the club, and from the Ministry of Sport. And I'm still told there's major reluctance from the Ministry of Sport and from senior PIF figures to let Benzema go. And was he to go, they would only want him on loan within Saudi Arabia because the optics of him going, of Henderson going, of Jota going, and potentially others are not what the wider league is looking for at this stage. And if Benzema goes, how do you know that Kante won't want to go during the summer and others? So it could be a little bit problematic. And this is why there is resistance. With Lyon, the interest is concrete. John Textor has been very vocal in trying to bring him back to Lyon, but it would require this humongous pay cut. So it's all very well saying it. And again, we need to take that with a pinch of salt because there's great optics for Lyon, who have struggled this season, about saying, we're going to bring Benzema back. But can you actually bring Benzema back? Or is there just a desire to do so? And does that build hype? And does that help get a very angry fan base back on side? Because Lyon are in the relegation zone in Ligue 1 at the moment. I think they've only won 4 games all season. So they're suddenly going to be able to bring Benzema back on something in the region of 2 million a week, euros. It's impossible unless he basically takes a 90% pay cut or something insane. And by the way, Al Ittihad are not going to pay any wages. They're not going to make any helpful effort to anybody. So it's only about whether someone can afford Benzema or whether Benzema's prepared to reduce his contract and then still return to Al Ittihad in the summer period. So I suppose we can term the Lyon interest concrete, but it's really, really difficult. With the Premier League, the Arsenal approach was non-existent. So you can link him if you like, but there has been no discussions in Arsenal about Benzema. There's been no approach by Arsenal for Benzema at the time we're recording. If that changes, I'll let you know, but there's nothing right now between Arsenal and Benzema. So are they going to look for a stopgap striker with experience? And is he the right fit? Of course, you can make that argument, but there's nothing at this point. The links have been downplayed between Benzema and Manchester United as well, but Ineos may input to that. And again, Manchester United can't afford Benzema in terms of wages at this point. But people are sort of jumping to a conclusion before there's actually been a conversation. With Chelsea, I would say anything is possible because they're prone to surprising us. there's been no approach by Chelsea either to Al Ittihad at the time of recording. So if you add all of that up, you say that nothing is as advanced as people are implying with the Premier League clubs. And part of that is because until Benzema gets a green light, nobody's going to waste their time. So the next step is not the clubs coming to Al Ittihad. The next step is Benzema resolving the situation with Al Ittihad and determining whether he can genuinely be available on the market. And then we'll see whether any of these rumoured clubs actually come forwards. But until then, we need to be a little bit cautious. And I can guarantee you that none of the clubs being linked from the Premier League have yet, in terms of Ittihad talks or ministry talks, advanced anything yet. They also are understanding the situation to determine, is Benzema available on the market? And then they may be offered Benzema. And then they may approach the club because he's a top class player and he's a good stopgap if he's available at the right price. But right now, people are making links where links do not exist. If that changes in the next few days, there'll be a lot of people that said, I told you so. But that's because there's 7 days left of the window and everyone has to make decisions and everyone has to be opportunistic. But I can promise you right now at the time of recording, there's nothing as advanced with those Premier League clubs as people are implying.
And yeah, again, I haven't seen too many stories of sort of advancements. We obviously saw the Sammy McBell article yesterday that stated that Arsenal have been offered Benzema. We know that's obviously by the Benzema camp. As
that's different, isn't it, though?
Yeah, absolutely. No, of course. And I think that's where people get this situation kind of confused. The Benzema camp, of course, they're offering him out to people because they're looking to secure a loan move away. And you've been very clear in this from day one that if, for instance, a Chelsea or an Arsenal says, yes, we're interested, they're going to try and bring it together. But it's one of those things for me that I look, what's your understanding of Arsenal saying no to that? Because that's the element of the story that Arsenal fans have got upset with, that Arsenal just saying, no, we're going to wait until the summer. We'd rather look for a defender or a midfield player now. Is that your understanding, that Arsenal are not really looking at a striker right now?
No, if they could get a striker right now that's the right fit, I think they would. But they got to think financially and who's available. And I still think Ivan Toney is the right kind of profile for them. So that might be summer. It could even be free agency 2025. Xerxes, another one that Arsenal have looked at as well. Again, it would be one for the summer. And there's some kind of confusion about the release clause there. But the club have said on record that it's only available to Bayern. So everyone else just has to face an open market. And if we take them at their word, that's accurate, which means it will be used as a yardstick valuation come summer, 40 million euros. But you can't just trigger that clause. And the clause isn't active now anyway, even if Arsenal wanted to. And it was applicable beyond Bayern, though that's the opposite of what the club have said. I think with saying no to Benzema, let's be very clear here. I can offer myself for a date with Taylor Swift, and Taylor Swift can never see that, can never respond to that. And it would obviously be her loss. But the offering means nothing. It literally doesn't mean a thing. It means that the camp are fueling interest. It means the agent are fueling interest. And it means they're telling the market this player might be available and see who bites. And they won't just be offering to 1 or 2 clubs. They'll be offering probably to 20 clubs across Europe that they think can afford it, because there's 7 days or so left of the window and they know that they need to move fast. So just because you get offered a player, and that is accurate to my understanding that Benzema's being offered around, I reported that yesterday, it doesn't mean that the club say, great, let's talk. It just means the club receive that, they know the terms on the market, and then we wait and see. But as of now, and again, now, I stress, and it's not sitting on the fence, it's the reality of a quick window. Things can change in the next few days. But as of now, Arsenal and Manchester United have not asked to engage in talks with the Benzema camp, nor have they started any talks with Al Ittihad. That could change this afternoon, tomorrow, but as of now. And this is one of the challenges with transfers, that if someone goes out on a limb and says that it happened last week, then if it happens, they'll lay claim and say we were right all along. But these are the same people that told you that Newcastle opened talks with Calvin Phillips. They didn't. These are the same people that tell you Mbappe's already agreed to join Real Madrid. He hasn't. Will Mbappe join Real Madrid? Absolutely, there's a strong possibility. But if he joins and he agrees in February, then anyone that told you that he'd agreed in January is wrong. So we have to be cautious here. And again, as of now, Arsenal have not advanced anything with Benzema. Manchester United have not advanced anything with Benzema. If that changes in the next few days, I'll let you know. But Etihad and the ministry have not received any offers at this point.